and then go ahead and light it up. Say hello, welcome in the chat, get that thing moving. And then without further ado, let me introduce our panelists and let's get into the discussion. So our first panelist that we have is Principal Rahh, principal speaker and author, proud Compton, California native. He has, let me make sure, I got a long list of things I need to try to streamline, hit the big ones. Trained at the International Institute for Restorative Practices, been a leading voice in the quest to transform the education experience in America, founded University Pathways Public Service Academy, now considered a model school for building a restorative community. Just 2 years into its establishment, continues to, I think is it 3 years now? It continues to share its
It's actually ideas. 6 years now.
Is this? Oh my goodness. I apologize for that. I give you credit for that last 4 years, man. 6 years into it, continues to share his sweeping ideas with schools all over the country. Partnered with various groups, including the Los Angeles Clippers, Think Watts for a music program, Planet Fitness for a new weight room, the FBI for an academy, and a law firm for a youth law society within his organization. They're just a few of the unique experiences that he's brought to his school community. Nationally known for his creation of a unique house system, which he uses to increase a sense of belonging on campus. Really an expert, I think, at building and connecting within a community and helping connect kids to great examples and resources. True definition of innovation and revolution in education. What am I missing? I know I'm missing some.
You know what? It's just I'm happy to be here, man. We love to talk about how we could just, like my brother Akbar Cook would say, focus on the love. And I mean, the latest thing is, you know, I'm a founder of an ed tech company called K-12 Crypto, which allows kids to earn cryptocurrency on metrics that they meet in school. So I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, though. What up,
awesome.
Cook?
Glad you mentioned that. Anyway, welcome, Principal Rahh. We're so glad you're here. Glad you joined us.
No doubt, no doubt.
Next panelist we have is Principal Akbar Cook. Welcome, Principal Cook. Born and raised in Newark's West Ward. He incredible career. Kind of started off as a coach, coaching basketball. In I believe about 2008 at Newark Vocational School, ended up becoming the vice principal. Then was assigned as the principal there at you're still at Westside High. Do I have that right? I hope I got my notes right.
Yeah, your notes, it sounds like an obituary, but you got it right, baby. Yes sir.
No, I don't. I'm trying to do it so it's a celebration, you know, but I don't want to sound like an obituary. Done some incredible things as well within the community. Let me see if I can just highlight a few. Summer of 2016, Principal Cook started the Lights On program at Westside High School from the peak hours of 6 to 11 to ensure that students and other young adults in the community are safe during peak crime hours. His vision for Lights On became a reality because of some challenges he experienced around losing a couple of students. Mr. Cook was named principal of Westside High in 2018-19. 1 month into his new role, he had the grand opening for a laundromat at Westside High School, which was his project to help ameliorate bullying concerns for students who were displaced, had no funds or access to washing machines. The bullying resulted in excessive school absences. And after the laundromat installation, the attendance rates increased significantly. The initiative was named Washing Bullying Away. Been a real creative mind in building community there as well, and doing some really creative things to help students see a real practical reason for participation in school and education. He has been featured on the Ellen DeGeneres show on 2 separate occasions. Is that right? Is it 3 now?
3.
It is 3. I was gonna say my notes aren't. I gotta give you credit for that.
Yeah, it's 3. Well. You got to give my flowers. It's 3 right now.
I got you. The list goes on, but a real creative and innovative mind who really lives this. Both of you really live the stuff that you preach. And you've had an incredible impact on a lot of kids. And so I'm really thrilled to be able to have you both back. Welcome, Principal Cook. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dave. I'm excited to be here. You know, Mark and Christian are my guys. Aim and Rob, what can I say about my brother? You know what I mean? He pushes me so much that I want to follow in his footsteps. So let's get to it, baby.
Let's get to it. My name is Jason Johnson. As I mentioned, I represent the WhyTry organization. My background is I'm a school psychologist. I came over from public ed to the WhyTry organization about 6 years ago. I oversee training and research, and I get to do a lot of really cool stuff with different individuals and communities. This is one of my very favorites. So now I mentioned before, Principal Rahh and Principal Cook are you're both now officially in the two-time club. You're back for your second round. You two have a great chemistry, and you are you're holding down the coast. We got East Coast, West Coast representation, bringing some great ideas together. That I'm excited to get out there. But I do also want to mention, because it's important this comes up, you represent your own individual ideas and approach, but you also represent a community called the Off School Grounds Coalition that has been a real key community. Principal Rahh there represent nicely. Yep. But this is an important community. You'll hear it referenced, and we'll put up some links on here as well. But the Off School Grounds Coalition is very, very committed to building community and really taking a creative approach to education and connecting incredible people together. They have a great, powerful community, and every time we have our OSG family and friends on, you always represent well. So I want to make sure I'm giving OSG and the McKeeseys proper credit for that community, because that's important as well. Did I get that right?
Absolutely, man. It's a coalition of just educators, principals, Akbar, Cook, Dr. Dennis McKeesey and Denise McKeesey, just bringing forth coast to now. Well, no, Cook, we international now. I mean, from St. Croix to the British Virgin Islands, to Africa, to Europe, to all over the world, global, of educators trying to revolutionize the educational system and experience for young people across the world. So we tap in on Thursdays. Every Thursday, you see, every Thursday, OSG, we have a meetup. You're welcome to come in and just vibe with a community of educators that's trying to do good work.
And
really
it's
powerful. Well, as I mentioned, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, and it's free of charge. People think that it's about money. It's never about money. We definitely ain't get into education to make a lot of money at all. So everything we do on Thursdays, like what Roth said, is free of charge. Just get the link. I'm sure Mark will probably put it in the chat. Just join and just hear some dope people doing some dope stuff.
Thank you. So here's what I want to do. For the first part, just like 3 minutes or less, just catch us up on what you've been doing since the last time you were on, kind of what your recent focus has been. And then I've got a question that I'll tee up for you that I think can get our conversation going. But let's just hear real quick. Let's hear from Principal Roth first. Tell us what you've been doing since the last time you were on, what you've been focusing on, and then we'll hear from Principal Cook.
Yeah, I've been focusing on building a safety net for young people. I'll tell you a little story real quick. I had a scene. For those who don't know, I opened a high school. I had a student that transferred to my school, Jason, and he was a senior. He transferred to my school, and he DM'd me. He said, it was after a football game early. He said, "Man, this was the best decision of my life coming to your school," because it allowed him to be his authentic self, right? And it warmed my spirit. But the next day, one of my students who graduated from my school DM'd me and said, "Man, I feel like I'm about to lose my life. Can you know of a job, of anything that I can do to get off the streets?" And at that moment, it hit me even harder to say, like, man, we have to figure out more to do to make sure that no matter how much my school is we call it the happiest place in South Central. It's like Disneyland for kids, right? So when they walk into our school, it's a happy place. They know that they're safe. But then when they graduate, they still got to face the realities of the community. They still got to figure out there's lack of upward economic mobility. There's not a lot of employment. There's all these different factors, external factors that impact their intrinsic motivation. So what I've been working on is a coalition and a collaboration to ensure that we not only get pathways for employment, but we get pathways and opportunities to put money in the pocket of young people. Because what I've known for my years on this planet is a lot of the trials and tribulations in public education has been the byproducts of poverty, the byproducts of trauma. So how do we now reverse engineer that with education, but also the intersection of education and wealth? So that was the birth of really trying to build a coalition to really put money in the pockets of kids. That's a little bit about the ed tech company that we're building that allows students to earn and learn and build a nest egg upon graduation. And then ultimately, we got some really great collaborations with like Coinbase Earn and other things like that we'll talk about that's going to allow the kids to have money in their pockets.
I love it. It puts such a literal point on the concept of education being an investment. You know, we use that somewhat metaphorically. There's a long-term literal aspect to it, but you are putting a very, very literal financial piece to that, which I think is going to have a real key connection to some of the stuff I want to talk about. Love that. Thank you for getting us going with that. Principal Cook, what have you been up to? What have you been focusing on since the last time you were on?
Man, I love when I hear my brother Roth talk, man, because he just warms my soul, man. And I hope to speak like you one day when I get older, Ron. But even though you're younger than me, but yeah, great segue, man. Ronno and you guys at WhyTry know that I've been trying to figure out how to reverse engineer what a living wage looks like in our day and age, especially for urban communities. I try to split my school into 4 pathways for post-secondary success, because everybody talk about test scores, but there's no test to indicate what you're going to do post-secondary. It's just not there. So one of the pathways is obviously going to college, 2 and 4 year schools. So what I did was we created it's my first cohort of kids. I got 21 kids that's going to graduate with an associate's degree in business administration. I'm excited about that because we did it in 2 years and we did it in COVID, and I paid my babies to go to school, right? The next pathway for post-secondary success that I'm focusing on is going to the trades, whether it's HVAC, whether it's plumbing, whether it's, electrical, whatever. We got cosmetology in my school, music technology, things of that nature, but showing the kids you can do a trade. And what some folks talked about, you do that trade, and then while that baby's in school, you are earning a living wage that whole time. When a baby comes out of school, you got maybe 3 or 4 years ahead of them. So don't sleep on the trades. The next thing we shouldn't sleep on is the next pathway, which is the military. And I'm a poor Black baby from Newark, New Jersey, so I don't want to be in nobody's infantry, but I do know from speaking to the Marines and other folks in the military service that you don't have to always go into infantry. You can be human resources, you could be drones, you could be computers, you could be analytics, you could be, mechanic. You don't have to be on the front line if you don't want to be, but they're training you to what that profession pays. Or they're training you in that profession and they pay you what that profession pays for that number of years. And you can take your GI Bill, which is a full scholarship, to give to your children or to your spouse. So that's the third pathway. And the last one is going right to the workforce. I done had folks from real estate. I done had folks from the police. I had customs. I had DHL, FedEx, Amazon, all of these things where you can make a living wage. We don't have to go to school. So I've been focusing on those 4 pathways of post-secondary success. And it's been coming, the kids don't believe until they see it, but I'm so excited that I'm really tapping in to what the kids they really passionate about and trying to steer them in a direction, just throwing instead of just throwing everybody at college. So that's what we've been working with, Jay. And I'm excited to see what it yields for me, when my kids graduate this year and then beyond.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I've already got goosebumps. We're barely 8 minutes into it. So what I was hoping to talk about today, and it's kind of built into the title of this. So the WhyTry organization, I mentioned, our real focus is resilience. We try to help provide tools and resources for educators and mental health professionals to help their kids become more resilient and deal with adversity in a healthier way. One of the pillars that we always focus on that applies to education, it applies to resilience in general, is the pillar of relevance. And I think it's one of the real big challenges when it comes to getting our kids to really buy into and to connect to our message. And I think it's something that I really admire in both of you, is your ability to help make the material you're sharing relevant to your kids. Like, if we can help our kids see why this whole school experience I mean, we use the term sometimes like we're just jumping through hoops. I don't feel like you all are jumping through hoops. You're helping your kids apply in a very practical way, a very relevant way, this concept of education. That's a long setup. What I want to hear from you both is what is your approach and kind of philosophy on helping make the education experience relevant for your kids? How do you help make the education experience relevant for your kiddos? Let's reverse the order. Let's go Principal Cook and then Principal Rahh.
So I'm big, and I seen somebody, Jay, in here talk about middle school. I taught 12 years in elementary education, so I make sure that's the foundation. You need it. But if you ever guys read the Giver, the story The Giver, it talked about, finding genius in students as they're young and exposing them to what they're passionate about all their years throughout elementary school, then grammar school, then high school, and then you send them off to the thing. So I feel like, I know we do individual education plans, we do IEPs, I get it. But what about those individual learning plans? We all learn different. So what I've been trying to do is trying to hone in on how my kids learn. And during COVID, you all, and I'm preaching to the choir, it's been very hard because the social emotional stuff went up, the mental health, the just, the hunger, the poverty, all that increased during COVID. So it's hard. But if you can figure out a kid at their freshman year and you expose them to things that they're going to need no matter what they do, I think they're going to be fine. Like home economics. Like we always forget about home economics. No school teaches home economics. They don't teach cursive. They don't teach phonetics. They don't teach things that we grew up on. So I try to find a way to throw that in there. Because I tell my teachers, yes, Algebra 1 is great. I know it's the foundation for everything. But if you teach a kid about credit, if you teach a kid about, making critical, decisions, time management, that will stick to their ribs more than that lesson that you taught. So never forget who you are and what made you you, and share it to my babies. So that's what I've been trying to do. Literally build on relationships. I'm big on relationships. I don't care if you black, white, brown, you gay, you straight. It does not matter. The best teachers have the best relationships with kids. And if I can put those teachers in front of my babies, I know we can change the world. So that's what I've been doing, Jay. And like I said, I got some great results, but I'm still not happy because I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Yo, listen, man, I always love, my brother was in his bag. Listen, he was in his bag. But, I say this again, I was a middle school teacher. I taught 6th through 8th. My background is in mathematics and arithmetic. I go across the country right now supporting schools with school improvement, with around school culture and around 3 pillars of relationships, relevance, and rigor. But the approach is what I wrote in my book, Jason. I wrote about this in my book, Revolutionary School Culture, and how we build an aspirational environment for young people. Like one of the things that we did at my school, which made us graduate 100% of our kids, 100% of my kids. And in my school, we got 4 rival gangs. My school was in the middle of 4 rival gangs where my kids can't even walk down one of the streets to come to school. When I first opened the school, we had one of the young students. We did a restorative practice circle, community building circle. And I asked one of the kids, I said, what is one thing you want to do with your life? And one of my kids said, I want to be able to walk down that street one day. The thing that happened to that young man, you wouldn't even believe. It was like a movie, because literally less than a year after him saying that, he was brutally murdered walking down that street. This is some of the real things of trauma that are indicators in our schools. And when the pandemic happened, like Ak said, there was an increase in trauma. There was an increase in domestic violence. There was an increase in substance abuse. And that all came back to our school. So how do we bring hope when someone feels hopeless? How do we bring help when someone feels helpless? How do we bring a voice when they're voiceless, right? And I think for us, no matter if you're in the elementary school right now, currently I'm in Las Vegas, Clark County, supporting with an elementary school with bringing alignment and relevance to learning. So how do we reimagine the learning experience? One thing we did at our school is we created what we call enrich-based learning. That means we figure out the relationship with kids and what drove them and what gave them hope, what gave them joy, no matter if they're in elementary, middle, or high school. They say, hey, I like music. All right, let's build a music studio then. Hey, I like fashion. Let's build fashion and design right now then. I love coding. Can we talk about why we don't have enough talk around technology in our schools, especially in our low income area schools? right? We don't talk enough around the industry and the careers. I read something the other day, Jason, 48% of the jobs that we're preparing kids for, by the time they graduate, will not exist in the next 10 years. They won't exist. So we got to think about how do we introduce our students to tech? Well, in our schools, we got 14 3D printers. We allow our students to work with Tinkercad so they can 3D print their face with a 3D scan. We expose them to augmented reality with our partnership with Microsoft to say, let's experience this new technology so you can start preparing for the world that's going to exist. Not only that, let's start looking at how are we developing, and Ak talks about this all the time. Let's not just put you with a mic and do music. Let you learn how to produce the music. And guess what? There's literary skills that comes with all those things. Coding, learning Java, learning HTML, learning these things is therapeutic to some kids. It's therapeutic. So how do we now get to this? It's through relationships first, because you're not going to know a kid if you don't get a chance to know him. How are you going to say, I know what that kid wants if you don't get a chance to know him? And this is the problem. I say this all the time, Jason. We love kids the way we want to love kids. We don't love kids the way they need to be loved. And we got to really come to grips with that. We need to love kids the way they need to be loved. Why? I'm going to give you a quick example and I'll land this plane. I was that kid that got D's and F's in school. I'm the youngest of 6. My sister graduated high school at 16 years old, graduated with her BA at 19, graduated with her master's at 21. I was the kid that my mom had to go to every parent conference, every all those different things. She didn't have to do that with my sister. But do that mean that she loved my sister any less? Absolutely not. But she loved me the way I needed to be loved to get me to my destination. And I think if we start doing that, we'll start building the relevance and watch what happens. That's when the magic happens, Jason.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I love that. I love kids the way they need to be loved. It's sometimes I think it's the one flaw in the golden rule. We talk about the golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, what if they don't want to be treated the way that I want to be treated? And I think what you're describing takes real maturity, and it takes some high level skills like empathy and compassion, be able to really, really see them in a specific way. But that's where that relevance piece comes in, because when we do that, and I appreciate you both mentioning that relationship piece, we have to really, really see them as individuals to assist with that relevance piece. That's powerful stuff. I want to hear a little bit. I've heard you both talk, and I think this will be something that a lot of our attendees right now will be interested in. I've heard you both address the idea of a livable wage and the importance of that and preparing our kids for that. And that's a little bit different way to look at kind of the end goal of education. Sometimes, a lot of times we look at either graduation, we look at credits and all of that, but we aren't necessarily connecting it to this thing that is so critical to our ability to thrive as adults in society. I'm wondering, I want to hear you both talk about your approach to preparing kids for the livable wage, for earning a livable wage, what that means, how you approach it, and if you have any strategies for how some of our attendees can maybe try to change how they view that within the context of their role as educators as well. Let's mix up the order. Let's go Principal Rahh and then Principal Cook.
Man, I love it. And this, I already know my boy Cook. This is what he talks about all day, livable wage, right? And I know what he's gonna say too. He's gonna say, man, he's the principal to getting them to a living wage, and I'm honored because that's what we aligned at, and that's what I learned from him. It's like, no, I'm not a principal just to get you to a high school diploma. I'm a principal that's gonna get you to a living wage, and that it should exist for every educator. Like, we have to really start thinking about this, Jason. What is our why when it comes to educating our young people? What is our why? If our why ends with a test score, then it ends every year, it ends at a certain time. And what happens when you remove the test? Then you lose your why. Like, my why for young people is for them to achieve self-actualization so they can go to a world and be happy, joyful, and monetize their creative abilities. Like, that's my why when it comes to education. And I think it's really important for us to really dissect that. And when we think about this, we have to think about, what is our current system like, Jason? Jason, our current system is like this. For many of us that come from low income areas, we go to school, right? We learn all this stuff and then we graduate. And for many of us, we have to, if we don't get a scholarship or anything like that, we have to borrow money to then go and learn, to then go and get a job so we can earn enough money to pay back what we borrowed. Right? That's a diabolical cycle. That's a diabolical cycle, right? And for us, we want to be able to, and then think about this. There's 35 billion, I'm big in tech. I'm a technology guy, Jason. I love tech. There's $35 billion that go through K-12 education yearly, $35 billion that's using ed tech platforms. How many, I bet you there's an educator right now that got all these different ed tech companies on your laptop and you ain't using not one of them. You're not using, so what we're trying to do is, how do we give our students the tools, the skills, and the network to impact their net worth? Because once we build a pipe, what I call a pipeline of power, and this is from K to 12, because I know there's some elementary thing. Well, I don't know. I'm in elementary. I can't start. No, right now, that's where we start talking about it. We can start talking about how we're exposing them to the skills that's needed. And this is the pipeline of power to a living wage, but also to a wage that provides them joy. We don't talk enough about joy up in this, Jason, because it's hard. Listen, I say this all the time. For many kids that come from where I come from, and they say this, if you want to know the real heart of a kid, put them in a position in which they has to survive. But if you never know the potential of a kid until you put them in a position in which they thrive. So we got to put our kids in position so they can thrive. And in order to do that, we need to ensure that we wipe out all the barriers. So we get them money in their pocket. We get them the skills to that network or that resource or that scholarship or going to the Marines and what Akbar was saying. So that's why we're passionate around this from K to 12. No matter, these are what we call universal practices, right? And I think that's what we have to do, because we got to understand this. And I'm gonna land this right here. There's a $1.7 trillion student loan debt crisis in our country. In the next 5 years, it's predicted to be at $2 trillion. $2 trillion. Inflation is going rampant. So we got to make sure, and you look at that, and then you look at the decrease in the job and upward economic mobility, we have to do something, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do it. So I'll land it right there.
That's perfect. I'm trying not to like jump out of my seat and just yell out, amen. Principal Cook. Let's hear what you got.
Yeah, Robbie speaking my language. He know, man. So I'm gonna say it like this, and I don't care if you in pre-K 3, kindergarten on to 3rd grade, middle school, high school, whatever. You should be preparing your kids for the Hunger Games. If COVID didn't scare you and how we shut the world down, then I don't know what you in this business for. Like, we literally have to do more. And I'm tired of education. I thought that we would have a hard reset and education will look at itself and realize that we're not doing enough. And what I mean by that, take me, and I know I'm high school, I know some of y'all not high school, but take us, right? I'm high school. Every school in America, high school in America, give kids driver's ed, right? Now take me, disadvantaged, poverty-stricken, school. I am going to test the kid for driver's ed. They're going to pass, get their little blue card. But I know that their parent don't have a car. And more importantly, they don't have a car with a doggone emergency brake in the middle where they can go finish the test. So we do just the bare minimum. And I'm tired of education doing that and thinking we did something. Like, I can graduate a corpse. It's literally weekends at Bernie. I can take Bernie across the stage, graduate him, and that'll be that. But what are we doing with that? I got kids that graduate, go to school, they back by Thanksgiving break, and they have $30,000 on their ticket.
Come on.
What are we doing? Like, we think that's cool? It's not cool. First and foremost, we got to stop letting education be just a coffee at a table with your friends talking about how your kid in college. Yeah, your kid in college, but your kid is failing everything. He's going to be home because he's on academic probation right now. It can't just be coffee talk. Like, I get it. If you want to be an engineer, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a doctor, you got to go to school. But there was a study that said there are 30 million jobs in the U.S. right now that make $55,000 or more that do not require a college education. Don't get me started talking about college, y'all, because I watch the Food Network. Y'all can't see me. I'm a big boy. I watch the I watch the Food Network, right? When I watch my boy Irvine, Chef Irvine, first thing he do when he go to Restaurant Impossible is look at the menu. There's a million things on the menu. He said you never can be good at one thing if you got all that stuff on the menu. Why do we have sociology up there? You're not getting no job with a sociology degree. You're just not. Political science, not happening. Communications, yeah, right. Why do we have all that stuff up there? It's literally a Ponzi scheme, and we do not show our kids that. We just throw everything at college like that's a predictor of success. It's not. It's not. So I'm trying to find out in my freshmen, what are you passionate about? Roth said it. If it's music, stop trying to be Little Baby. Stop trying to be LeBron. You can be Rich Paul. You can be Maverick Carter. You can be QC, who owns the label that Little Baby is on. But everybody's not going to have the God-given talent to be in front of that mic or be on that court to do those things. But there's other people that are making money. So we literally have to find out what the kids are passionate about. Like, why are we making them put their phones up? We are adults. I have a watch on right now. I don't even look at this thing. I pull out my phone and I look at my phone. So why don't we use that as a source of, of power to make the kids feel it? Because you can make more money on your phone than you do at whatever job you're doing. So I don't have the answers, but I'm going to figure it out. And I put my money where my mouth is. I'm at a poverty-stricken, low-income destination. And I live in a nice neighborhood, y'all. I am bringing my own son. Akbar Cook Jr. is coming to West Side because I don't want to send him somewhere that I don't know what they're going to be doing with him. I know I'm providing the most for him. And I know he needs to see what my kids are going through so he can vet it out and he can figure out how to be a man and do that way. So that's what I've been doing, Jay. And I hope I figure it out because my wife's going to kill me if my baby don't do good.
Yes,
it's so good. And I appreciate the honesty there. Now Akbar, I do have to speak on behalf of a few of us, myself included, with undergraduate degrees in sociology. It hurt my heart just a little bit, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I had to go to graduate school for a reason.
Hey, Jason, I got a degree in arts and humanities. What the heck is that,
Jay?
hey, but them loans don't care.
They don't. That's the thing. My student loans don't. My student loans really don't care what the degree is in.
Right.
Oh, this is so good. So I'm curious now. Any tips or any specific things you all have done to kind of head in that direction? Because you've shared some big ideas that I think are really, really important. And I think you have a lot of people that are on here with you that are just going preach. I'm right there with you. I'm really curious about the how. And Principal Cook, you acknowledge like you're in the process. We may not have it figured out. Are there any things that you have figured out, any lessons you've learned along the way, or any successes that you could share that you feel like are nudging us in the right direction around this? Let's go Principal Cook, then Principal Rahh.
So Jake, one of the things that I'm a business and finance school, I said that earlier. If I didn't tell you, I have a Capital One branch in my school, the only one in the state of New Jersey. My kids run the branch. It's a real branch. I literally have like 5 Capital One cards, and I go in the bank with my kids, right? They make $17 an hour. So start there. We got the financial literacy part. I wasn't the business person. Like I started off with a 1.8 with a business degree and had to change the education. But I do know if you want to expose a kid to business, is expose them to this family business. What I mean by that, if we have a bodega, a corner store, a mom and pop shop, every kid learns how to run a business by being part of the family. Literally, I learned how to stock shelves. I know how to work the register. I know how to, reorder, and I do greet customers, all of that stuff. So I said, well, let me turn Westside into a family business. So I have entrepreneurship pathway, right? Where all the kids that have the amazing ideas, how to get it to fruition. I got them. I got the kids that can sell water too well. My finance people, my finance people that's good with money. I got them. Once you got the money in their idea, you need to find a way to make it. So I got my advanced manufacturing. So that's 3, right? I got an advanced manufacturing pathway. Once you got the product, you need to market it. I partner with Google. We have an advertising and marketing thing. Then once you got the product, you know how to market it. You got the money, and you're gonna need to ship it out. I got the supply chain management. So that was one thing I did, but there's still outliers. So I'm like, you know what? I got cosmetology for the kids that are good with that. I got music technology. I talked about those things, but I also I expose them to the trades. So I'm doing my part in letting the kids know, like, listen, you have all these business pathways that you may like, but if you don't do it, you have these outliers, right? But then I take it a step further and I'm like, well, guess what? I have a large population of special needs, and we didn't talk about that. I have about 28 to 33% special needs. And I'm not talking about BD. When you hear like behavior disturbed, those kids may be brilliant, but they just may have something that's stopping them from learning because they just, impulsive or whatever the case may be. I don't have that. I have LDS, which is severe learning disorders or moderate. So those babies are probably not going to college. So, and they also, I'm not letting them just say, welcome to Walmart either. But there's other jobs. Like we in New York City, I'm out of New York City. New York City pays ticket punches $100,000 because nobody wants to ticket punch. Right, I'm in the wrong business because I'd have ticket punched a long time ago if I could have made 6 figures. You know what I mean? But if I could get my babies to do that, I'm gonna get my babies to do that. They're literally giving out CDL license. They're like, yo, you know what? Don't even care if you can drive a car, bump it, take this big rig. They're giving those out. I can work with FedEx. I can drive kids forklifts. I can do the port jobs, the longshoremen that just doing whatever. Like we saw the wire what they was doing at the port, whatever. Like I can get kids into that. So I've been trying to figure out the matrix, trying to slow this down and figure out how to get all my kids into the things, again, that they're passionate about. And if they're not passionate about, my kids are big on, you got to show me. So I've been bringing back my kids, my alumni that have done it, that look like them. But listen, folks, these babies, they listen to the most braggadocious, most raunchy, nastiest music ever. I use that to my advantage. Oh, little Akbar. Oh, you want to be a basketball player. You're 5'5", can't shoot nor dribble. You're not going to the league, my guy. You're not. But know what you can be? Stephen A. Smith. You got to be that vocal and that harsh because they listen to it. They can take it. They can take it, y'all. The constructive criticism, they listen to that music, they can take it. But you got to give them that roadmap to success. And you got to be transparent. Somebody put in the chat. You got to be transparent. They love it. As long as you're transparent and you're fair and you're consistent, they love that. All kids want structure. So I've been trying to do that, but giving them hope. I talked about it, giving hope to the hopeless and giving help to the helpless. So again, I don't have the answers, but I told you I got to figure it out because if Akbar Cook Jr. and whatever year he graduate, he don't do it, I'm gonna be in somebody's jail because my wife gonna get me. All right.
Well, you're doing some incredible work. I mean, you've created basically like a little mini economy there, and you're giving them all the opportunity to participate in it. So from a relevance standpoint, this is about the work, and everything you're doing is something they're going to be able to do on the outside world as well. So I think you have a great foundation. Now, by the way, we have people are blowing up the chat. They're like, how do I get a hold of these individuals? I need help. We are going to put contact information up at the end. This is being recorded. We really are serious when we say this is a community. And if we don't cover something you got questions on, we'll put some contact information up so you can reach out to people and ask any additional questions. Principal Rahh, tell us a little bit about what your approach, maybe some successes. And I am going to ask on behalf of the people. A few people have asked for you to even talk about the crypto model that you mentioned earlier, because I think that's a real world, a really interesting approach to a real world solution.
Absolutely. And I want to say this, I seen in the chat, it's hard for kids to be what they can't see. You know what I mean? And you're going to have kids aspire to be rappers or YouTube stars and all this because that's what they're exposed to, right? But what we have to now compete with that and expose kids to, man, it's cool to be an electrical engineer. It's cool to learn how to code. It's cool to learn how to produce. It's cool to just love art. It's cool to be a social, it's cool, but we got to be able to expose that. And we got to be able to provide them with the skills, but also provide them in an environment where they can self-direct their learning, right? And it's possible. So at my school, I'm gonna tell you right now, my school it's University Pathways Public Service Academy. It's public service, y'all, and we're in the middle of Watts, California. I mean, we got a firefighter academy that's taught by the Los Angeles captain of the fire department. We're the only school in Los Angeles Unified School District, only high school with an FBI academy. Yeah, I mean, we got the FBI, CIA agents coming to teach some kids from the hood what it's like. And that I don't know, bridging that and repairing that is something that we had to do, right? And we also have a law academy. We built a total courtroom in our school to teach kids how law works, how debate works. But what I found more important is, now that I'm a consultant working with schools across the country, so it's Akbar, is there's something that we do in education that is not talked about a lot. We do like this PBIS, right? Positive behavior interventions and supports. I go across the school, you hearing, oh, you got a point system, merit system, demerits, and class dojo bucks. My daughter loved Robux and all these different things. Or you using little tiger stamps or this or that, right? These are all token economies that we try to incentivize. But you want to know why most of them fail? It's because we're trying to incentivize compliance. We're trying to incentivize, hey, come there, sit down, shut up, be quiet. And we're trying to incentivize putting a circle in a square, right? And then that's the problem. So what the idea that came to me was, what if I provided students with a secured crypto wallet that allowed them to earn money, cryptocurrency, based off of learning quests and metrics that's met in school? But they don't get custody to the money until they graduate. This study right here, somebody may be hearing, whoa, what is he talking about? A study like this is not new. Dr. Roland Fryer from Harvard University did a study called Cash for Grades in 2008, where he gave students, 38,000 kids from Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago, and Detroit, actual cash for grades and attendance. And it increased attendance, and increased behavior, and it increased academic performance. But it didn't scale, Jason. You want to know why it didn't scale? It's because it was all indicated from philanthropy. Well, the product that we are building is like Khan Academy, but kids can earn money for completing each task. It's like an attendance quest for a principal, where now a kid can come to school 25 out of 30 days to self-direct for their attendance and get paid. It's also giving you proof of learning. What we did at my school, Jason, we did what's called presentations of learning. Many of you guys will do digital portfolios for your kids, right? Well, in the future, your portfolio, instead of having that Google Doc or that whatever you're going to put their portfolio in, we're creating a digital wallet where their kids' wallet will allow them to have NFTs, which are badges in a sense, on our blockchain, that when they graduate, they can show you the proof of learn that is symbolic, that has actual monetary value. They can liquidate this upon graduation to be used as a launch pad for life, for business, or for school. We feel that this will impact not only critical hope. Dr. Jeff and Duncan Andrade talked about this. Critical hope is one of the major indicators for intrinsic motivation for kids. I don't know about you, but for me, ask yourself right now, if you hear, why did you do well in school? If you did well at all, right? What was your motivation? Most of our motivation was external factors. Most of it, I can tell you right now, you probably was like, I don't want to let my parents down. That's an extrinsic motivator. Most of you like, yo, sports. I love playing sports. The only reason I care for 2.0 is because I need to play football. Or others is like, yo, I want to get up out the hood. But what happens when you take away those external factors? People lose hope, right? And that's what happened in the pandemic. That all went away. But a lot of times people say, hey, I want to be a rapper. I want to be this, because they feel like money is attached to it, Jason. Let's keep it 100. A lot of times kids that come from where I come from, they see the attachment with money. And many of you guys, when you get to high school, you see that little chart that say, you make a high school diploma, you make this much money. You get a college degree, you make this much money. You get a master's degree, you can get this much money. So we have quantified the measurements of success monetarily with how many degrees you can get. But we've been lied to. In many ways, Jason, we've been lied to. So K-12 Crypto is a learn to earn platform for kids to be able to learn anything from anywhere and earn money for doing it, and which can be curated for schools and teachers. We currently have about 40,000 kids on a wait list with about 30 schools. I just dropped the link. If it's something that you're curious about, this is what we're doing full time as a consultant, working with schools across the nation. But we feel that this could serve and be radical change for improvement across the country.
This is powerful. Now, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but I can tell we're probably on pace. We're going to go a couple minutes after the hour, if that's all right with with Principal Rahh and Principal Cook, but we got some important information. I have two quick follow-up questions that I think apply to this for both of you. First question is, what advice, I always got to try to speak on behalf of everybody that may be here. And I have met, there's a big age gap in educators. What advice would you have? Because you're talking about a very contemporary technology-based approach. What advice would you have to somebody that has a fear of technology or just doesn't feel like they're listening to you talk and they're going, I don't even know how that works? Any advice for somebody that may have some tech aversion?
Yeah, I'll start off with this. You know how we talk to our students, Jason, we say it's that productive struggle. We're gonna have to enter into this productive struggle. Remember one time people thought was scared of the internet when the internet came around. It was like, what the heck is this internet thing? I remember my dad, Jason, when Facebook and MySpace came around, well, Facebook mainly, he said, man, son, I ain't never getting on no book face. I ain't never getting on no book face. What's wrong with you? Now he taking selfies. Every day he got a selfie on Facebook, right? And what technology is here to stay, no matter how much we don't like it. What are we doing right now? If it wasn't for technology, we wouldn't be having this podcast right now. I remember some of y'all probably didn't even know what a Zoom was before the pandemic. Now Zoom is part of our everyday life, right? When we have to make sure that we have to, just like our kids have to, go through many of us say we're a lifelong learner. Well, we got to learn tech. We want to continuously learn. So I would say this though, get into the community, get with people like myself, get into OSG, get into a community where you could be safe and learning, right? You want to be safe because there's a lot of spam, there's a lot of crooks, there's a lot of different things that happen. Let's be honest. How long has email been around, Jason? For a long time. Do they still spam your email? Did they ever get fixed? Do they still send you a link that could try to take all your information and your data? That still happens. It still happens. So once we get over that fear barrier, we will start to expose our kids. And let's be honest, our kids are, my daughter, I got a 6-year-old daughter. She's way more advanced than 6-year-old with technology than I was. She can get on an iPad right now and maneuver through it and know what apps, delete the apps and do all those different things. But yet when she get to school, she's with pencil and paper. Right? So I just want to make sure that if you're somebody I get it. Reach out, but this is the way that's moving forward. And on top of that, if you just want in a nutshell, you're already kind of doing it. We just said it. You got class dojo bucks. You got token economies that exist. Blockchain technology, once you learn it, it allows it to be seamless, it allows it to be transparent, and it allows for it to scale.
Love it. I kept thinking of Brene Brown's statement. She says, lean into the discomfort.
Yeah.
You know,
and can I say this real quick, Jason?
Yeah, please.
All right. OSG means off school grounds. And then somebody did ask for our platform, K-12 Crypto, where does the money come from? The money comes from retail investments, with building up a student treasury and philanthropy, and our sponsors. So there are schools that will pay for a school licensing fee for the software, but overall it's retail investments, corporations, and school license fees that will be liquidated to go into the student treasury to go back into students getting paid out.
Awesome. Thank you. Principal Cook, any addition for any additional advice for anybody that may be technology averse?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short, Jay. Dinosaurs are extinct. Gonna be a dinosaur.
That's it.
Love it. Next question. A lot of what you have talked about has involved connection and support from the community. And a lot of it has included probably external resources partnering up with you. Do you have any advice for people to be able to do that more effectively? I think that's a really overwhelming thing for some people. They're hearing you talk and they're going, oh, partnering with Google, with Microsoft, I don't even know where to start. What advice would you have for a classroom teacher or just anybody that may not know where they should start when it comes to trying to connect to community resources? And those resources could be anything. Let's go Principal Cook and then Principal Roth.
I would say if you build it, they will come. It's just simple as that. Like our kids can't wait for policies to change. You got to figure it out. So I often beg for forgiveness before I ask for permission. And I'm saying the teacher, I'm saying as an AP, when I started my Lights On program, I was an AP. I was an assistant principal. I knew my kids needed me and I was going to figure it out no matter what happens. I just happened to have a principal that was caring and didn't mind if I got the spotlight because he was there for the kids as well. So you got to put it all on the line for these kids. Because what I often say, I have to go undefeated, because a loss for me could be the loss of a kid's life. I can lose a kid. One of my kids can die today. So I have to put it on the line. If you're not doing that, then you're in the wrong profession. We didn't choose this profession to get rich. So you choose this profession because you wanted to save lives. What better way to do it than actually doing it, and stop waiting for validity or someone to tell you that it's okay to go do it. So that's what I do. I mean, and again, I get it. I'm tenured. I get some of you may just started, but why did you start this? Why did you do it? You wanted to change lives, then do it then. What are you waiting on? We just saw with the pandemic, the world could end tomorrow, and you'll still be here saying, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, not working for kids that don't have it. You all that they have, they put their life in your hands. You got to figure it out. So that's what I do every day. I put my life on the line. If I had to come to school for the adults, I wouldn't even come to school. Right. But I know and fight for those babies. So I do it every day. And I hope that I lead them the right way so they can see that it's never safe. It's never right to give up. It's never. Like, I talk to my kids about being extraordinary and ordinary. What I mean by that is you got to do extraordinary things. You got to take on like extra classes. You got to do everything to be extraordinary. Ordinary, listen, there's going to be somebody that's going to give me some fries and flip my burger for me. It is. Somebody's going to cut my grass. I'm not washing my car. And I may sound, oh my God, he hospitality. No, it's not. If you got a business and you do that, then fine, you're an entrepreneur. But there's somebody going to replace that panhandler on the corner. Is it going to be one of my kids? Not on my watch. At least not if I don't expose them. That's what I say.
Come on, man. You know, like what I say is, it's time for us to be revolutionary. And you need to inspire or retire. That's really what you need to do. You're either inspiring kids for greatness, or you need to just go ahead and hang them up, right? And I think it's important for us to realize that and come to grips with it, right? Like what Ak said, is like, yo, I know what he say all the time, match his fly. Well, I'm gonna say inspire kids or retire from kids. It's that simple, you know? And I don't care if you're 22, go ahead and hang them up. You had an early, you 22, go ahead and hang them up. It was good. We ain't gonna put your jersey in the Raptors, but it's all right. But inspire or retire. That's the name right now, because our kids need, when you're in front of them, you need to show inspiration. You need to be revolutionary. They say that you never can change the existing reality. That's what's a quote. You never can change the existing reality. In order to change it, you must build something new to make that old system obsolete. So we got to build something new. But I say this, if you're trying to get connected, your network helps you. If you want to get major corporations and sponsors and support, yo, you talking about Akbar Cook, who's been on Ellen 3 times. You telling me you're not going to tap in with OSG and trying to get connected with him to bring a lights on program, he's getting stuff internationally. So if you're looking for it, don't try to reinvent the wheel. That's what community is for. It's the domino effect. OSG and what we do, we get schools from 0 to 1. We get you from 0 to 1. Sometimes you got to be inspired to go from 0 to 1. Sometimes you need to take a little slice of that humble pie to go from 0 to 1. So I say this, be hungry and be humble and be smart. Be hungry about doing this work. And what I mean by that is be motivated. You got to wake up charged every day to work with our babies. Don't be coming with none of that weakness on like, oh man, I'm tired of being here. I gotta sit here and pray in the car because I don't want to see these kids. No, you got to be ready, motivated to love on these babies every day. Number 2 is that you gotta be humble. I don't know it all. I don't know it all. That's our transparency. And then last, you got to be smart. And that means with interpersonal relationships. Like being smart after this is like, how do we connect? How do I figure out how to get a Chase Bank or a corporate bank in a chapter in my elementary school to teach kids financial literacy? How can I learn more about crypto? How can I learn more about resilience? Your network impacts your network, inspire or retire.
Love it. Okay, my last question for you. And then after the last question, I'm going to put up how people can get a hold of you. And I'm going to ask you to just maybe list off the name of your recent books, because you are both authors as well. Last question for you, though. I want to know, you both have talked, like, the reality is we're working with a lot of kids that have lost hope. And we may even be working with staff that has started to lose hope. And it's interesting from a resilience standpoint, hope is probably the most important ingredient within resilience. When somebody becomes hopeless, it's really, really hard to be resilient. They're very connected. You can't have one without the other. Give me one piece of advice for helping another human, especially a kiddo, a baby, a child. Give me one piece of advice for helping a kid feel hope that might feel otherwise hopeless, because this is going to be the starting point for, I think, resilience in a lot of cases. Let's go Principal Rahh and then Principal Cook.
Yo, I'm gonna take what I learned from my brother Akbar. Focus on the love. You focus on the love. I mean, listen, love conquers all. Love conquers all. When you show me a baby that comes to me depleted, they lost a loss of hope, and then you get that person love, you get that person community, you get that person education. Watch what happened to the kid. I'm telling you this not be out of theory. We both saying this is not theory. This is action. Go Google Akbar, go Google my school, come to Compton and come visit. We took babies who felt like they had a loss of love. And look what happened when you give them love. We got kids that we gave hope to the hopeless. Listen, the work we do, this is real life. We save lives daily. We transform lives daily. So if you're not waking up and inspired to save and transform lives daily, it's not for you. So focus on the love, because the love will direct you straight to Akbar's book. That's what it was.
I love it. Principal Cook, give me one piece of advice to help another person, to help one of my kiddos feel hope.
Yo, I got to hire Rahh as my agent, man. He got to be my marketing guy, man. But I'm going to take Rahh words, man. What's your why? Like, listen, I got to educators. We definitely didn't get into this business to make a buck. The most joy I ever get is that warmness around my heart when I see a kid that made it or they got it. You know, you guys are educators. When that kid got it and you had the best lesson plan in the world, oh my God, ain't no feeling like that feeling right there, baby. And when they come back and they say they remember the lessons you taught them, man, that's why we do it. So what is your why? You got to figure out why you started this, because there's going to be days, there's going to be administration, it's going to be kids, it's going to be them ratchet parents, it's going to be your district that seem to don't have a clue. They're going to test you daily. But why did you start this? Whatever why you started it, you got to remember that. And you got to remember that babies are watching. No matter what grade, they are watching you. They are simulating you. They are trying to be like you. You got to be the best you that you can be, and you got to put your A game on. When they said Earl Monroe, they said he used to go, Earl of Pearl, they say he used to go in gyms, he used to give everybody 30, whether it was 2 kids in there or whether it was 200,000. I'm always going to show them what I have, no matter what. So put your game face on, put your A game on, and show up and show out for those kids, because in most cases, you all they got. I don't depend on no parents. I don't depend on no district. I don't depend on no superintendent. I don't depend on nobody. I'm the principal, the superintendent, and I am the parent when I'm in that classroom. And I'm going to show up and show out for my babies every day. Or like Roth said, you need to inspire or retire.
I'm so fired up right now. This has been incredible. I'm going to throw my 2 cents in and add my one piece of advice for helping another individual feel hope. And I think the same thing applies to our kiddos that we work with, and I think the same thing applies to us as the adults, as the grown-ups. But my advice is get connected into a community that inspires you and makes you feel safe and supported. And I think it's one of the most powerful things about the OSG network. I think it's one of the most powerful things, quite frankly, about this network of you all that show up for these webinars. But when I'm around other humans, just listening to Principal Rahh and Principal Cook today has inspired me. When I connect with these people, so find your community, and maybe it's within your school, but maybe you have to go external as well. Then turn our classrooms and our offices into its own community where we can inspire one another and help our kiddos feel that inspiration as well. That's my advice. So let's go final words, final thoughts. Principal Rahh, Principal Cook, give us the name of your recent books. You both are authors. You got great books that people need to check out. I've got your contact information up, as well as a QR code that people can hop on. We've recorded this. We're gonna send this out. Principal Rahh, where do you want people to find you, and what's the name of your most recent book?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, all social media, Principal Rahh. My school is in Watts, California. I'm from Compton though, but my school is in Watts, the hub and the dub. But yeah, my book is Revolutionary School Culture, the 6 Principles of Unlocking Your School's Hidden Treasure. We go through understanding how to set the stage and school improvement and alignment to really get student achievement. That's where you can find me. You can get on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all that great stuff. And then you can look for K-12 Crypto also on Twitter. And let's tap in. If you want to join our wait list, we are doing a closed beta in the fall semester with schools across the country.
Awesome. Thank you. Principal Cook, I know you're walking. Are you in a spot where you can tell people where to find you, what the name of your book is?
Yeah, they can cookeducationalsolutions.com is where they can find me. Principal Cook 23. I'm a big Jordan guy, so Principal Cook 23 at Gmail. They can email me. The book is called Focus on the Love. It's a transformative approach to organizational leadership. It's literally like just lead with love and great things that happen. Rob was, like I said, he was my spokesperson, so he talked about it. But yeah, that's it, man. I'm with WhyTry. They've been with me since the onset. I'm glad I brought them to OSG. You know what I mean? So I'm happy about that. But literally, whatever you guys need, we've been figuring out across America, now international. Rob said it, we're going to Cameroon on Easter vacation, and we're going to take some stuff out there for those kids and in the Virgin Islands. So that's it, man. Principal Cook, Principal _ Akbar on Instagram. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And I just put Myrna, I just put Principal Rah's email address up there on the screen. Hey, I just want to give a huge thank you, first of all, to our attendees for showing up. You all are what make this community great. You all inspire me. Huge thank you to our panelists, Principal Rahh and Principal Cook. You are always an example of authenticity. You bring real truth, but you live very authentically the stuff that you're preaching. And it's always so refreshing to hear. I think both of you probably have to dive off. You were very generous in fitting us in the middle of all your other stuff. But big round of applause for our panelists. This was really fun. I feel inspired. I was so happy to again be a part of this. And we've recorded it. If you want to share this with some of your colleagues, we'll send out a link. We're putting up a QR code. If you're interested in learning more about the WhyTry approach to resilience, or find out about how to access our parent guide that we have as a free resource, we've got some great resources there for you. That's all I've got. I'm going to play us out with some music. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. And hope you all have a great rest of your week. This was fantastic today. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.